How do you get to work or school every day? Car, bus, train, horse even? Well, they all suck. All of those options release CO2 and some options even put out worse gases. But there is a better option. You may be confused because I've already named all of the vehicles you could use to get to work or school, but there is a better option, and it's bikes. Okay, before we get into why I think bikes are so great, I want to quickly dive into the history of bikes. The first bike was invented by a German inventor named Karl Dreiss. His bike was called the Velocipede, or commonly referred to as a hobby horse. This bike may seem weird because it has no pedals or chains, but remember, this was the first bike ever invented. Okay, so the next big jump in the art of the bicycle was the famous Bone Shaker bicycle. This bicycle was invented by Pierre Michaud in the 1860s. This bike was a big step and featured pedals, but the reason why it has such a large wheel on the front is because the bikes didn't have chains yet. So one spin on the pedal meant you would only go as far as the circumference of the first wheel. So logically, the bigger the wheel, the further you can go on one pedal revolution. This bike was very unstable though and was only really ridden by trained professionals. For the final bike, we have the modern bicycle. It was invented 25 years later in 1885 by John Kemp Starley. This bike added a gear to the bike, allowing the pedals to propel the back wheel instead of just spinning it. This allows the bike to gain speed the more you spin it instead of just being at a set speed. This bicycle gave way to a cheaper and easier to maintain alternative to horses, which were the most popular form of transportation at the time. So, what's the problem and why will bikes help? The most popular mode of transportation in Western society is cars. But the issue with cars is when they burn their fuel, it puts out loads of harmful things into the air. The exhaust of the car contains greenhouse gases like CO2 and water vapor, as well as NOx, which is a component in smog. Greenhouse gases cause global warming by trapping more heat in the atmosphere. This will affect everyone around the world drastically by hurting crop growth, ice melting, rising sea levels, putting coastal cities underwater, and animals being put out of their range of tolerance and going extinct. More than 1/4 of all greenhouse gases come from transportation, and if we can lower the amount of cars and buses we drive, we can cut a very large portion of global warming, making a large dent in stopping climate change. Bikes are the best option to replace vehicles that run on fossil fuels. This is because bikes are 100 times cheaper than cars, because cars on average are $3,300 while a bike on average is only $308. Since the average family size in the United States is a little more than 3 people, each family would need about 3 bikes, totaling to around $900, which is still 33 times cheaper than just one car. Plus, most families own more than one car. Bikes are much more economically viable in the consumer market, plus the fact that there would not need to be any infrastructure built because the United States already has the infrastructure to support bikes. Bikes are easily accessible to most of the Western world because of their cheap nature, plus the fact that they don't need much repair, and repairs are extremely cheap and easy to do to the common people. Bikes are the future for clean transport in the Western world.